Well, hello everyone. This is Ranger Rob, and welcome to the Ranger Rob Country Living channel and podcast. I gotta get my screens all set up here, and I want to welcome everybody. This is the second time I've ever done a live stream, and so I'm not expecting like a big turnout for a while until people get used to this. My goal is, I think, is to go with Wednesdays and somewhere between 5 or 6 o'clock Pacific time, which if you're in East Coast, be like 9 o'clock. So here we are. So today I'm going to kind of go through some of the things I didn't get through on the last podcast. And also for those who are here, can you give me a heads up that you're hearing the audio okay? I definitely need an audio test because I was having a little problems with settings before I got started. So Ranger Rob Country Living podcast is also, this is turned into an audio, which in turn will be uploaded to our podcast, which is audio only on Spreaker, and then Spreaker broadcasts it to several other platforms. So hopefully, if you don't get a chance to see this, you can see that we do have a video version of this, which is what I'm doing is a live show on video on YouTube and several other platforms. And in this recording will be turned to an audio, which would be put on the podcast. So this is episode 7. So yes, anyway, don't expect big turnouts. I'd love to eventually for this to get really big and doing well and stuff, but that takes time, and it takes getting a frequency and getting going stuff. So if you are new to our podcast, please take the time to say hello. Even if you just see the recording later on, make sure and say hello and say you made it to our podcast. And if you have questions or things you want us to talk about in the future, let us know too, and I'll make sure that happens in the next podcast. So yeah, so today is Wednesday, and I have a list of things that I was going through last week, and I got some new things that have come up this week, and things on my mind and things that have been coming up. One of the biggest things, like tomorrow's, we do a daily vlog video, and one of the things I'm going to start getting more into is the change of seasons and also planning for next year. And I think that's important because when you have a homestead, you can't be a person that thinks for the now, other than the fact you get chores you got to do that day, but to get in the habit of, sorry, I got a monitor over here of our chicken cam, and I'm eventually going to let you see it. Anyway, it's really important to be kind of a visionary as far as having a homestead. And so, gosh, today I'm kind of, and yesterday Sherry and I have been kind of talking about what would we do, what would we do different, what would we not do again, and what are some of the new things we like to do for fall, winter, next spring. And so, yeah, and so even though we've listed some things, it's a lot of work involved. Like there is going to be a second greenhouse, but not as big as we wanted to do before. I think we're going by 24 by 24. And it's going to be devoted to NFT systems. And our NFTs are not going to be hand built. We're going to order them from Crop King. And so hopefully we'll have that in place before, before spring, or before spring starts or officially starts. So yeah, there will be another greenhouse, and our NFT systems that you keep seeing us use in the middle of the property will be modified something fierce. So yeah, those are some of the things. I'll go more into some of the things we'll be doing for next year. Things, lessons learned and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why, but I keep, yes, I got a puppy. Belle's ears are about the only thing that shows on the screen. So there they are. Anyway, so Belle's our German Shepherd. And I don't know why, but I keep reaching for lemonade, and every once in a while it hits me and I'm kind of like puckering something fierce. So where we're at, we're kind of talking about, we did talk about backup systems last episode. And so I think my next thing is how to get started homesteading. And hey, backyard, which is John. How are you? my my one or two viewers today. And by the way, guys, this is only my second live show. I'm kind of hoping it'll grow. John, by the way, from Backyard Politics, is in the future, in the next couple of days, he really puts a lot of work into getting alternative news, which is trying to get the facts. And so a lot of the things he discusses is some of the reasons why we do what we do. The homesteading, the prepping, the gardening, the hydroponics. It's like, oh, why are we doing this in the first place? Well, it's because what the future kind of looks like. And John from Backyard Politics is going to be really good to have on the show. So as we talk about the things in the outside world affecting our decisions, he can go into depth about them a little more than I can because he looks at that stuff every single day. I get a briefing basically every day, what's going on, by watching different alternative news, and basically helps me with the decisions like, do I want to prep harder? Do I want to do backup systems? What do I want to do to be more self-sufficient? And how do I make sure I'm not living in fear? And that's the big thing here, guys, is when you're homesteading, one of the things that really happens is the fear goes away. When you know you've got stuff in your cupboards, you know you've got food, you know you've got things to back you up in case we lose some of our resources. And that is self-satisfaction. And that takes a burden off your shoulders, which in turn, I think, shreds away a lot of the fear that people have every day. So, types of homesteads. Now, once again, I've told you homesteading is really the definition I go by is making your household being self-sufficient. Now, there's more in-depth definitions of what homesteading was or is and was, and but nowadays it's turning your household. So, my point is you can have a homestead in the outside skirts of the city and still be self-sufficient. Typically we get out here a little farther, a little rural, a little bit more country, but you don't have to be out here. Besides, it's getting hard to find stuff. So trying to be more self-sufficient. So don't get caught up on a homestead's got to look like that little cabin in the middle of the woods that you have a 30-30 Winchester leaning against the front door in case a bear shows up. No, that's not really, that can be homesteading, but that's not really it. Homesteading is being self-sufficient. And that's the definition we use. So take wherever you're at and say, what can I do? Just look at all the, take all your resources, the electricity, your water, your transportation, your food, your freezers, all that stuff, and eliminate one. Say, what if I lost all my electricity? What would I do? And what would be the results of that too? What would I lose? And so you start working on systems to try to prevent losing stuff or being in fear of losing electricity. Same thing with water. Well, what if my taps don't work anymore? What can I do? Where can I get water? And if I get water, how can I filter it and purify it to make sure it's safe to drink? What's some of my options? And work on that. Get rid of that fear. And what if I can't protect myself? Well, I got to work on that one too. All kinds of things like that. So types of homesteading, I can't show you a picture because it's going to look different. It may be a real modern house right outside the city of Mesa, Arizona, where another one might be out here in Central Oregon, out in the middle of the high desert. It's all going to look different. It's the thing in common is trying to be sufficient. So moving right along, I want to talk about this podcast just a little. One of the things is if you're not a podcast listener, you're really missing out on a great world. So when you're even in your homestead and you're sitting out there mowing lawns for 3 hours and things like that, podcasts are awesome because once you find on your cell phone, if you're got a smart cell phone, find a service like I like Podcast Addict. It's a free software you put on your um, cell phone, and you can search for all kinds of subjects of podcasts that you. Let's say you like Chad Panther, Panther. Anyway, I love listening to Chad, and so he's got a podcast, and so he's also got a show. I don't know if he does them separately from the video, or he's doing it like we're doing, taking a video and turning it into audio. But anyway, he's got a regular show, and there's things on prepping, there's things on homesteading, there's things on canning, preserving food, or maybe you're into knitting or whatever you like to do, hunting, if you're in hiking, RVing, whatever you want to do, there's a podcast out there for it, and they're very enjoyable. And so a lot of, for example, we used to do RV Talk Radio, and all of our shows are still available. But since we don't RV anymore, I've kind of stopped, and someday I may start that up again if I started traveling again. But there's other great RV shows that are up to date, and but anyway, so podcasting is a really great way to learn, relax, and take with you anywhere while you're traveling, and maybe you have to fly over the East Coast for some reason. You can listen to podcasts of your favorite shows, and hopefully you'll look up RangerRob Country Living Podcast, and you'll find that we're now up to episode 7, and we'll just keep chugging along as we can here. And right now we're doing this video version. We may just do audio. Sometimes we don't. I may be somewhere I'm not in front of my computers and can't do a live show, so I'll actually record the podcast separately and create it and edit it for just for audio only. So don't expect every Ranger Rob podcast to be a video version, but this is a good way because we wanted to start doing live because, well, our competitors or other shows are doing the same thing. And, we need to build up our numbers. And one of the ways you do that is with a show like this, where we can interact with people that watch our regular vlogs. So believe it or not, I got to slap myself sometimes as we do our videos every single day. And I keep saying, well, what the heck am I going to talk about the next day? And sure enough, something comes up, and we've got something to talk about. And so I didn't think that would happen, but on the, like today I'm walking around, I was like, we did a little bit of harvesting, and then kind of like, gosh, some of these plants are changing colors, and they're acting different, and they're not producing as fast. It's like, oh, what's going on? Fall's coming. And the plants know it, and it's an amazing process. And so we're at that time of year now where any day now our weather could really switch, and then somebody will turn on the cold button, and that is going to be a shocker because we have certain kind of things on the homestead that we do here that we don't know how it's going to affect our plants. Like if you guys have seen our greenhouse, we got these beautiful tomatoes. And we raise jet stars, and they're really big. They're probably 14 feet long, and we do a tilt and lean system in there and stuff, and they're still producing like crazy. But I don't have the best heating system out there, and I only have like 30 amps to work with. So can I keep that greenhouse warm enough not to kill those plants? Because righteously, I believe if I could keep my climate good in that greenhouse, I should be able to keep the same tomato plants going for a long time. I don't know. Now, when it comes to tomatoes, by the way, we do the jet stars, which are delicious, but they're very sweet. And so we've made some sauces with them and stuff, and all of our salsas, all of our spaghetti sauces have come out sweet, and we're not adding much sugar to them at all. So I think what we're going to do is actually still do jet stars, but reduce it down and start doing like Romo tomatoes, which are more meatier and less sweet, which are really good for making sauces. Jace, how in the heck are you? What are you doing on a country station like this? Hey, world. Speaking of podcasting and editing, you should let me help you with that. I might have to talk to you about that. So Jace is a good old friend. He's actually, if you guys watch our other show that we probably might start thinking about starting again, is She Said, He Said. Jace is one of our newest members of that crew. And I guess I should start thinking about getting a couple of those episodes going. And it's kind of funny because you take a redneck like me and you put me with a bunch of modern folks like Jace and some younger folks. And then some of the other people on the panel my age, we're all kind of going like deer in the headlights, like some of the things they're talking about and doing. And of course, we're old school, so it makes a great show because we're all going, "What the heck?" So, this is good to see you. And yes, after this show, make sure once you get a hold of me, and we'll see what you. Of course, if you cost money, I got a tight budget. I got to pay for greenhouses and stuff, and I'm a real poor folk, so I don't know. We can work something out. Anyway, Jace, it's good to see you. Jace actually is a producer and just all around weirdo, and he's a great guy. After the show, I'll call you. Yes, I'd love to hear from you. Besides, I got to start thinking about should I get She Said, He Should get a couple of episodes out. And yeah, we'll see. You can always send me more poopy bags. True. Poopy bags for podcasting help. That's workable. Which reminds me, guys, I got to plug my RangerRob poopy bags. So, guys, if you haven't noticed, one of the things that we talk about in all of our videos, you see at the end, is we advertise the RangerRob poopy bags. Why do you do poopy bags, Rob? One is I used to travel a lot. And hi, Black Spring. Nice. Gosh, I love your show. And welcome to the show. The poopy bags, by the way, which these are our first ones. These are the sheets. And what I like them is I made them larger. They have handles, smell like lemon. And Jace, you could probably quote this. And they're a real strong bag. They're waterproof. There's no little itty bitty holes in them or anything like a Walmart bag or something. They're awesome, high quality poopy bags. And they're actually quite affordable. We sell them on Amazon. They're under $10. And we also make them on rolls with 15 on each roll. And each box has got 120 of poopy bags in them, which is good for 2 months if you use 2 bags a day. The other thing is, gosh, Jace, I can't keep up. Biodegradable. They're not actually biodegradable. They do break down in landfills. But if they're biodegradable, you actually wouldn't like them because they'd be kind of flimsy. But they do break down in landfills. So they're eco-friendly. So I can't use biodegradable. Thank you, John. Poopy bags for podcasting sounds like a great partnership. You betcha. Taking care of business. So Jace also made us a commercial for the RangerRob poopy bags, and he did the theme song "Taking Care of Business." So he just, for dogs taking care of the business, just ruined the whole. I love that song, and now I can't listen to that song without thinking about my poopy bags. So yeah, thanks a lot. Eco-friendly, yes, sir, Bob. So where were we? We were talking about the podcast. So the podcast you can find, I have links in the description below. Spreaker is the best way to go. Make sure, and it's free. And make sure you sign up so you get little emails and the reminders that the show's coming on. But there's a whole bunch of other platforms we're on too. So yeah, and I suggest, but there's plenty of other softwares out there for podcasts. To use a Podcast Addict. It's free and it works great. I've used it for years. So we're moving right along from the things I didn't talk about in the last show is where in the heck are we? And the question is, it doesn't really matter. However, we're in Central Oregon. And Central Oregon is on the east side of the Cascade Mountains. So the west side, we don't talk to them because they're crazy. You know, Portland. Anyway, so as soon as you cross the mountains, everything turns red, if you know what that means. And so we're in what's considered high desert, which means we're around 3,200 feet in height here. And so we're considered high desert. So as compared to being down in Arizona, there's quite a difference. One is a lot less rattlesnakes. That's one of them. High desert, our ground, it's kind of a sandy ground. We don't have the best ground as far as growing things, but if you mend it a little bit, it'll be magical. You'll see a lot of pine trees here and a lot of junipers. Typically you'll see sage here, but you don't see is cactuses. Not like down in Arizona. And our temperatures are definitely cooler. And but we do have I think like 320 clear days a year. So we get rain, but not a whole lot of it. We do get snow. Oh yes, sir, Bob. But it doesn't typically stay around for a while. But when winter comes, it feels like you're living in your refrigerator. And I've never seen a cactus a day in my life. Really? Jeez, Jace, you need to get out of Florida. I gotta admit, when I lived in Arizona, it was fascinating to see all the different kinds of cactuses. And I swear every plant that grows down in Arizona is deadly as far as being pointy. So yeah, it's kind of neat. I mean, the plants are just so different down there, and every one of them somehow can hurt you. Not dangerously, but yeah, they're just nasty. Okay, Jace, you're from New York. That's even worse. I think you better stick with Florida. We don't have cactuses. We have crackheads. Yeah. Yep. Get me sidetracked. So Central Oregon is where we're at. We lived here before, and then we left. But because Sherry's folks lived here, and one of them passed, and we kind of are caregivers. Well, we are caregivers for her mom. With everything with this house here, we knew all about this house. We helped even build things on this house. We knew this property really well. We decided to buy the parents' property and make sure and bring, since Sherry's mother is in assisted living. She was in Arizona with us. We moved her back up here to assisted living because she has a few friends still around that can still visit her, but she definitely needs assistance. And so we try to bring her over here as often as possible. Her health is really frail. So she loves it because she never got a chance to do gardening like we do. And she was into flowers, and she was a master gardener at one time. Anyway, so when she comes over here, she just like can't believe that her youngest daughter is so domesticated as we are now. She Sherry was one of the few ones that she thought would turn into a homesteader kind of person, especially when it comes to preserving food and stuff. So you never know. Lemonade would taste a lot better with a little vodka in it. So moving right along, what are we doing for time here? Zip along. We're trying to make this only an hour show. And the reason I'm keeping it at hours because we do deal a lot with radio stations. I don't have my radio stations anymore, and I don't miss them a bit. Well, I do sometimes. However, if this show wants to be syndicated, they prefer shows that are set a precise time every time so they can use them on radio stations. So we keep this at an hour just in case someone's crazy enough to want to syndicate our show. So who knows? They go, you bet you. They're like rednecks like us. Okay, so we were talking about how to our podcast. We're in Central Oregon, and we basically just want to talk what we grow here. So we definitely grow a lot of our own food here. We do it conventionally in the ground. We do it in the ground and a little modified with hydroponics. And we have places where we grow in dirt, and we have places. We have plants that we do not grow in dirt. We use coconut coir and perlite or vermiculite, and use nutrients instead of soil. And so what we don't grow here is meat. We do have chickens, so we do grow. In fact, I meant to turn on a cam here and let you, and as soon as my little screen comes up here, come on, and there, oh, smaller. That's the chicken cam. Let's see if I can get them. Sometimes it freezes up. So anyway, we'll see if the chicken cam will work a little bit here. So we do keep a chicken camera needs to be lined up a little better out there. And it's kind of nice from the office here. I can check on the chickens and see how they're doing. Like, for example, I can actually see that there's a couple of eggs out there I need to get. Get this cleared back up, and we'll put the chickens back on there for you, for your enjoyment. So the chicken cam, I try to do a show with just the chicken cam, and people are going, "You're nuts." But people do enjoy seeing the chickens once in a while. And before I go any farther about what we grow here, we also, this is the only animals that we have right now. And these are Rhode Island Reds. And we love the Rhode Island Reds. We do not have roosters, by the way. We have 10 of them. And all we get is brown eggs every day. So we usually get 8 to 10 brown eggs every day. And sorry, German Shepherd just goosed me. So my studio's open, and so the door is open so my dogs can go in and out because my wife's not home right now. So I could get barking, I could get all that stuff, and just how it is. And you guys all know the dogs on the show. So, but I do have Belle in here, and she she always hangs out around here when I'm doing shows. So anyway, the Rhode Island Reds. Foghorn Leghorn was a Rhode Island Red. Foghorn Leghorn. What does that mean? Clarify, please, John. Let me put that on the screen. Foghorn Leghorn. What is Foghorn Leghorn? That's the first thing. Is that a person or a thing or another kind of chicken? I want to make sure we're learning here something. We're going to learn ourselves something here. Anyway, I'll wait for that to come through. So these are Rhode Island Reds. We like them because they're a hardy bird. They handle cold weather, lay very large eggs, and I just had a lot of luck with them. Oh, so Foghorn Leghorn is, he was a chicken on Looney Tunes. That was his name? Okay, gotcha. And he was a Rhode Island Red? You look kind of yellow and red. Okay, I know who you're talking about. I didn't even think about Looney Tunes. That's a good one, John. Okay. I didn't think it was a Rhode Island Red, though. Otherwise, I probably would have known that. So anyway, so we're thinking about growing what they call meat birds. I was talking about turkeys for a while. And so, but Sherry and I, we like turkey, but maybe one or two, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and, you can't kind of beat the price, just go in the store and picking them up. But you got to pay attention to this. This is amazing. So what we're interested in is getting Cornish cross, which is called a meat. They call it a meat bird. And these are amazing birds. First of all they do is eat, grow, poop, and then you eat them. That's it. And it only takes like 8 to 9 weeks for them to grow full size. So if you order your chicks, say in June, they'll be ready to go by August. And so each chicken, just think about it. Let's say we average between a high 4 pounds, 5 and 6 pounds after you butcher them. So let's say you got 5 pounds, right? And let's say you get 25 birds. You have 125. That's right, 125 pounds of meat in your freezer in less than 8 to 9 weeks. And so the cost involved would be obviously buying the birds, feeding them, and processing them. So my first year probably wouldn't be profitable because I've got to buy a lot of butchering equipment. Um, because one of the things is if you're going to have meat birds and you're going to butcher them yourself, which I have no problem doing, you want to make it streamlined. You want it easy, and you want it to be humanely done. And so you want to set up actual little kind of section in your property that has a still table, some sink type units, something to butcher to your chickens in, which are cones and things like that. And then you want a hot water tank thing that you can boil up water like you would do for like a turkey fryer. And then also one of those automated turkey pluckers. Trust me, I've done so much plucking of birds in my past. I will not do it by hand because it's just tedious. So anyway, building and having all that equipment the first year, it's going to take a couple of cycles before I'd actually even break even. But what's driving this is where John from Backyard Politics comes in, is my driver to have meat birds. And I'm not interested in, I can't have cows here, but I'm not interested in any other kind of animals either, sheep or anything like that. Or pigs. I can't have pigs here either. And that's okay because I don't want them either. Because I'm surrounded by farms and I can easily get that stuff, no problem. But it's the economy that's going to drive me to whether I want to do that inconvenience of life, because you got to feed those chickens every day and clean up after them and buy hay and all that stuff. So and by the way, John, I assume my audio is working okay. I've been talking for a half hour, but I assume that you're hearing everything okay, because my settings were all goofed up when I started this thing. Anyway, so the meat birds, Cornish, I probably, because I need practice and I don't want to get overrun with trying to raise too many of those things. Now, Cornish crosses are also, all they do is they grow so fast. Sometimes their legs don't keep up and stuff. They're not real. they're just big blobs on two legs. And so, hey, Jack, how are you? So they're big blobs on two legs. And so a lot of times they can't walk very well. They can't fly with a hoot. All they do is eat and grow. And they're not a real brilliant bird. So you could lose quite a few of your birds. So if I ordered 25, I wouldn't be surprised I'd be down to 15 or 20 because of the nature of that kind of bird. They're just designed and to be a bird that just grows fast and makes meat. And by the time you even think about getting attached to them, you after you clean up after them, because they're just a pooping machine, you'll be glad that they're gone, and you'll probably be glad because they eat a lot of food. So my old chicken cam is kind of freezing up here a lot here. Let me see if I can get it going a little bit. There we go. It's sharing a different internet than the internet. Yeah, so bear with me, but we can watch the chickens a little bit while we're doing this show. So good to see you, Jack. Thanks for stopping in. I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so what we're gonna, we do a lot of food here. We do a lot of, vegetables and things like that, and we have trials and errors. We have things that we did good and some things we did bad on this year, and next year we just try to do them better. But we're not growing any meat. We're doing eggs, but we're not doing meat. By the way, these chickens you see on the screen, I've ordered what's called a chicken tractor. And once I get that in, eventually these chickens have to retire. After about 2 years, their laying eggs may slow down. Now, it could be up to 3 years, but what I want to do is let them start working my property and helping make my back fields a little bit more, the soil a little bit richer as we amend it, and also have the chickens add to it too. So a chicken tractor is a mobile chicken coop that you move every few days, and you let them tear up the ground and poop in it and all that, and then you move it forward again and just keep moving it throughout the fields. and that gives them the chance to eat bugs and eat all kinds of grass and all kinds of critters and things like that. And so it's another way of being a free range bird. Dude, that would be their pension, because if I don't do that, they're going to become dinner. And by the way, older birds tend to be tougher, so I'm not really interested in butchering those birds. I just want to kind of put them to work in the fields. So it'd be kind of a pension like North Korea. Just put them in the fields. And so, yeah, so that's a chicken pension right there, is letting them retire in the yard. While, why I bring a new generation in. So come on, reset. Come on, chickens, go, move. All right. So, yeah, so meat birds, that's kind of on the agenda next year. And Sherry actually bought into it. That was the hardest part. It's like, all right, I'm going to throw this at Sherry. And Sherry's like me. It's the economy. How things are going to look this winter will probably convince me and Sherry whether we want to actually go through that process of actually raising birds. Send them out to pasture. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Yes, sir. By the way, I think John, I don't know if you noticed, Jace has been in and out. So anyway, if you need to harass him, he should be around. That's your job on the show, right? So Jace and John from Backwards Politics are also guests on She Said, He Said, if we ever do that show again. And it just depends if I can get everybody together. It's really hard to get 5 or 6 people to do the same thing. Of course, John would know this, to get them to do a show every week consistently without something interfering. And so sometimes it gets frustrating. And as a producer of the show myself, sometimes I just like, all right, I'm done. I'm so tired of trying to herd up everybody and all that stuff. And it's not their fault. Everybody's got stuff. And I do too. And so just like doing this show, at least the only person I have to depend on is myself. And but when you're trying to get 5 or 6 people to do a show every week, it can be lots of fun. Oh gosh, lots of fun. But it can also be like frustrating because people go on vacations, people get sick, people have things come up. So yeah. So that's why I'm not too interested in getting another show going really quick. Jack, which chickens will drive the chicken tractor? The one in the top of the pecking order is the driver. And in fact, this winter, I'm sending him to chicken school for driving a tractor. And so I think it's kind of like a CDL license or whatever. So the chicken with the highest pecking order will drive the tractor. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. So greenhouses. Somebody might watch this show and actually believe that. So yeah, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. So greenhouses, Sherry goes, yeah, I think we do need to go ahead with a second greenhouse. But if you guys have seen our videos, which are every day, you probably see the greenhouse every day. And we built that. And it was fun, but Sherry was not working at the time. And so I think the second greenhouse will be a kit from Growing Solutions. And so it might be a little different than the greenhouse we had before. So the Oregon Farm Girl, welcome to the show, by the way. You're feeding, you got 68 Cornish hens right now as we speak, huh? So my big question is, what did you start with? Do 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 do. Come on, how many did you start with? Because I was talking about earlier that you need to plan on losing some of your birds because they're really all those they're like little fat Alberts with 2 legs. I haven't got the answer yet, but it's coming. I may have a few more questions for you, Farm Girl. So Oregon Farm Girl, she's I believe she says she's out of Bend area or Terrebonne. Ooh, can't remember. But anyway, so nice to have you on the show. So greenhouses, I was talking about, that we, our next greenhouse might be kind of fancy because if you're seeing mine, it's not very fancy. It's functional, but not fancy. And so we'll see. And it's going to be devoted to just NFT hydroponics. So it's going to be really wide compared to my other one. Ours is 14 feet wide. The one we're looking at is 24 feet wide. And we need room for the racks so we can take the racks down, load them up, clean them, slide them back in, and then be able to cross them across the aisleway. So, yeah. So let me move on to our goals. I got tons of stuff. Actually, this is all last week's stuff. Our goals: be self-sufficient. 2, pay attention to what's going on around us. Between lockdowns, I don't worry so much about the thing out there everybody seems to want to catch or doesn't want to catch, because we don't see people that often. Besides, the older I get, the more I hate people. I don't hate people. So yeah, so you started with 75, so you're doing pretty good. How long have you had your birds? So you've only lost 7, and what stage are they in? Oh, you got an owl in the pen, so you lost them in an unnatural way. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to find out how many weeks have you had your birds, and how big do you think they are by now? And when do you plan on butchering? Either that or you've got 68 wonderful pets that are going to get really fat. So our goals here: be self-sufficient, try to grow as much food that we like. First of all, grow food you like. Do not grow food that you don't like. And you can experiment with something new. Like we did a lot of Swiss chard. We're finding out, Swiss chard's all right. I don't mind it. Easy to grow. But Sherry doesn't like the earthy taste of it, kind of like beets. But she eats it, so she's not that picky. When I cook Swiss chard for her, I'm finding out that she likes the leafy part and doesn't like the branches so much. Oregon Farm grows out of Bend, so I apologize about the Terrebonne thing. Anyway, let's see. How the heck are you? Live? What are you doing? Are you? So RV Prepper is a gentleman also does shows with me with RV Talk Radio. In fact, the last RV Talk Radio I did was with him, and so good guy, and he's got a great show. So if you get a chance, if you're into RVing, he's still doing a podcast. So look for RV Prepper, and you'll enjoy. He's not only traveling, but he also is on the same page with us, being prepared. And Helix is his RV is also a prepping tool when he's not using it. And so, yeah. And I actually might start using our RV a little more here as we go. I got to figure out how to get a canopy off my truck that weighs like 300 pounds without me hernias. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. So the goals of the Homestead is being self-sufficient, trying to make our processes easier as we get older. That's another thing we're really preaching Ranger Rob poopy bags everywhere we go. He's the man. And once again, Ranger Rob poopy bags. Don't leave home without them. And we appreciate that. And all of our products, all of our poopy bags are on Amazon. It's free shipping. And once you start using Ranger Rob poopy bags, you'll hate everything else. And that's one of the reasons why I made those, because I couldn't stand the stuff in the parks and stuff. And some don't have the handles. You try to turn them inside out and you get stuff all over your hands. It's like, this is not good. That does not happen with the Ranger Rob poopy bags. They're super wide. So when you turn them inside out, the business is away from your hands. So you'll love them. And once you tie a little knot in it, they're easy to carry. So when you're, take them when you're on a trail, we don't want to leave them. We want you to take them off the trail to the garbage can. So we make that easy because it got handles that you can carry the bag back out. No big deal. Strong bags that won't break when you're carrying them down the trail to the garbage. So take your bags to the garbage. Do not leave them on the trail. Don't leave them in the parks. All that stuff. Is that RV Pepper Wayne? No. That would be RV Dave. Is wait a minute, RV Prepper. No, yeah, RV Prepper Wayne is in Florida, but RV Prepper Dave, he's from Montana. You're confusing me, people. So yes, so those you don't know. Also, if you go farther back in history on our channel, you'll see that we used to go under the RV Travel Buddy, which I own that trademark. And we did a lot of RV traveling shows. And then I had a personal channel called RV Travel Quest. And those videos are all still there. They're really fun to watch. In fact, I like to go back and watch them and go, oh yeah, I forgot about that and things we did. So yeah, so a lot of history on our channel. And so, but yeah, our channel originally kind of started out as RV travel. But as you get older, things change. You guys all know that. So how are we doing on time? We got about 10 minutes. So the house. So when you guys watch our video, you'll see that when we got this house and bought it, we got a great deal on it. We bought it on contract, but it needed some help. Sherry's folks, their last 5 to 6 years, they were getting up in age. They couldn't maintain things as well. And so we knew when we bought the place and when we worked with Sherry's mom, we negotiated a thing because we knew we had to put some money into this house. So last year's video, this house, a new site. And so then we've been kind of investing in different things to improve it, a little better electrical, better heating, things like that. And we're still getting ready to change a hot water heater in here. So they got Sherry's mom had a walk-in tub. But the problem is they only have a 50-gallon hot water tank in here. So you can't fill it as high as I like to fill it. Sherry's is fine. But anyway, so that's the other thing. I want to move our tank up to at least 65 to 75 gallon tank. So that's another thing I got to do to this place. And of course, everything has been breaking. So like I've got to fix the garage door opener on the main house. It stopped working, and there's always something to fix in this property, but it's a beautiful place, and it's got a nice big shop. But we also got a lot of Sherry's folks' stuff here that once we had all the kids come down and look through what they wanted, there's still a lot of stuff here. And so it's been kind of slow going because certain things is like sentimental. We don't know quite what to do with it all. And we're probably going to have a estate sale. We thought we'd do it this year, but just too many things are going on. Oregon Farm Girl says, sorry, I was literally feeding them, and you do not stop. That's true. They're about 8 weeks old, so you're almost ready to butcher them, and range from 5 to 8 pounds depending on the roosters or hens. So you're getting ready to butcher those birds, aren't you? So I imagine, do you have like a whole bunch of family come over? Or is that kind of like a party event? I know when I used to raise turkeys, I used to have like almost a dozen of them. So I'd have what's called a turkey plucking party, which we'd come over, have hot toddy, hot rum drinks, and everybody come out and help pluck turkeys, and then they get to take one home. And so we called them turkey plucking parties. So same thing when you do have people to come over and help butcher your chickens. Of course, you can send them home with 1 or 2 chickens, and it's worth it. So yeah. So moving right along, I only have about 10 more minutes. I talked about what we're doing for water here in the last show, and I think I told you what we're doing for compost. Basically, we have 2 compost bins in the back of the property we built last year. Those are amazing. I don't care what you say. Compost bins are amazing. You can put I cannot believe how much you can put in a compost bin. And as it breaks down, it just keeps going lower. And it's like it's hardly ever get it to the top, because as things break down, the whole pile starts to lower. And we've been throwing stuff in it forever, it seems like, and they're still not full. And I mean, like the other day, I got it filled to the top, but within a week and a half, it was already down a foot. And totally amazing. But let me talk about some of the newer things I wanted to talk about. And every once in a while you see on our homestead, we talk about things going on in the news or around us. And I think the news theme is coming out, and I've been trying to be clear how I stand on this. Is it's getting time to push back. And what I mean by that is not in a rebellish kind of way. I'll be kind of rebellish, but not in a physical way. Is there's a lot of crap going on. There's a lot of news going on, and the schools, the zapping the arm thing, and freedoms, and yeah, it's just amazing. And we just sit back here as conservatives, for those who are conservatives, and we're all gentle people in a sense, and we just seem to be getting walked on by a very small amount of people. And so it's time to push back, and it's time to get involved. And yes, it may not be like, maybe you need to join the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe you should join the community, or maybe you should have a voice in the school district. Maybe go to churches and organizations and nonprofits and things like that, and start adding your voice to, because I think what's happening is all the wild, crazy, woke people are the ones that are all in these organizations, and they're just going, no one's opposing them. And it's good to have opposing parties and coming up with, without fighting, you can compromise. That's the word I was looking for. And so we need to push back. And if you have a platform like I'm doing, use it responsibly so that you don't get canceled. Make sure you're not offending people, but trying to get an open debate going on. And so whatever you got as a tool, whenever you can speak out, and do it professionally, that's the way to go. But we need to push back. Oregon Farm Girl will say, I'm going to get this on the screen here. Me, my son, and daughter-in-law, you're the ones who are going to be doing the plucking. Maybe some neighbors. I'll break it up, and not do it at all. And you do it. You don't do them all at once, huh? Too much. It's too much for this old lady, laugh out loud. And I agree. That's why I'm starting with like 25 birds. And and if I can talk a few people into, like, I got a son that lives on a ranch. Maybe, I was like, well, if you come over and help your old man, we'll send you home with a couple of chickens. And my son's really thinks it's important that his kids get exposed to that kind of stuff. So I can guarantee you he'll be over. So we'll see. But I'm still going to start with like 25, get the process down, and then we'll know exactly, do we want more or less for the fall, the year after that. So we'll see. I get my chicken can to quit freezing. Let's see what we get. There's the chickens. Move, chickens, move. Not moving much. So yeah, it's kind of an internet problem. It's not really a problem. It's just I'm kind of sharing it with this thing here. So things are slow. But that's the chickens. They're happy chickens. They have been kind of picking on each other, pecking order problems. And I have what's called chicken saddles coming in for about 5 of the birds. I'm going to put saddles on them. They're just little capes. They keep them from pecking each other's feathers off. But all in all, they're pretty good birds. Not too much fighting going on. But I do have a couple with bald spots on them. And the chicken saddles should help a little bit. So we'll see. I got to make sure that their feathers are all back before winter, because I want them, once they get they got really thick feathers, and so they'll keep themselves warm. So I don't have to run heaters out there. So, but yeah, if I get some bald ones out there, I will, but we'll see. But yeah, let me move on. And so what I recommend, by the way, when I talk about pushing back, is also find out the facts of things. Like when you talk about the jab, there's so many pros and cons. There's so many reasons why one person wants to do it and the next one doesn't. And so just to go one side on it, to learn the facts of like why somebody might oppose it, why somebody's hesitant, or maybe someone's already got it, what it's trying to prevent, and they've got the antibodies. And so they've all got some really good reasons, and some people are scared of it. And so when you learn the alternative news and you find out the facts in the papers and the reports and stuff, you can understand why people make the decision they do. And the same thing with the news is like you hear one version of what's going on in Afghanistan, and then you find out we got a lot of volunteers over there trying to get people out of there, and we're finding out the worst enemy isn't the T-band people, but the State Department. So it's like the facts is things are really screwed up, and there's some really screwed up policies out there. And so understanding how things are working will allow you to make better decisions for your homestead. That's the point. So watch the Glenn Becks, watch the right sides, watch the different, some Fox News is not too bad. Others is like, they're still driven by greed and money, but there's other alternative news out there that you can start getting hooked up with that'll kind of find, if they have to get their articles from outside of the country to another place that may actually be journalists, you can find out what's going on and understand why these shortages are happening and what's going on, so you can make good decisions on your own homestead. So homesteaders, you need to stay up on the world, but not to be in fear, but to understand how you can take action so you're not in fear, and you can make and be comfortable if something gets taken away. Because it seems to be the real theme is, what can we take away from people? And don't let it be food. So yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we'll do a lot more talking about preserving food with the freeze dryer. Yes, I have a freeze dryer. I kind of do some shows, but the problem is Sherry kind of breaks it up between when she works, and sometimes I can't get things filmed on it. I'm going to take my chickens off here. Bye, chickens. Anyway, I just want to let you know we will be talking about the freeze dryer a little more, because it's amazing. If you can afford a freeze dryer in the future, I highly recommend it, because you will be prepping like crazy with one of those. I don't care if it's milk. I don't care if it's soups or eggs or whatever. You can really diversify what you can preserve without, and you don't always have to do canning. Freeze drying, you can just turn things into frozen, dried out things, put them in Mylar bags, put a oxygen pack in it, and they're good for 25 years. It's amazing. Well worth the cost if you can afford one. You are looking at around $3,600 for the basic ones, and then the ones with the fancy pumps with them are over $4,000. And so yeah, we had to save our allowance before we had to get those. I had to mow a lot of lawns to do that. So anyway, I'm running out of time. Oh my goodness. So guys, I want to thank all of you for popping in and saying hello. And I'd like to hear more from the gal from band and find out more. I'm going to keep track of what's going on with her birds. That's been it's good to know, because that's something I'm going to be doing soon. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. Don't forget, this is also a podcast. And if you guys want to really help our channel, please get people to share it and get it out there and help our channel grow. We'd really appreciate it. So guys, have a great day. Bless you all. And thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. Have a great day, everybody. Bye now. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.